What's up guys, Reaper Mike here. Kind of going over a build biology for my setup for next season on the RB25 S14. I get a lot of people that just imported a Skyline, whether it's RB26, RB25, RB20, doesn't matter. If you plan on having any kind of fun with your car, if you're gonna launch it, if you're hitting rev limiter all the time, anything, these are a must do for this motor to make it last and survive. So far, the oil pump, the gears inside are a weak powdered metal, driven by those two flat surfaces off the crankshaft. You come over here, you'll see where that sits. Right on there like that. So when you're launching, hitting rev limiter, this gear is bouncing back and forth. All that play. Eventually that's going to crack this. You're going to lose oil pressure, and there goes the whole motor. So forget about doing turbo upgrades and everything else before you do that, because what's the point of having a great power with a big turbo when the oil is going to go and you're going to burn out the rods and bearings and all that. So not only is this a weak point, but also on the crank it only makes about 1/8 of an inch contact with the gear. This is the oil pump I just pulled off of that one. So if you see right there, that notch, that's the only kind of contact that the crankshaft makes with this oil pump gear. That is nowhere near enough. So, solution for that, you can either get an extended crank collar, which is pretty much this piece, but it comes out all the way to about over here to make full contact with this gear, and that works great. But an even better solution is these Billet spline drive gears. Two companies have been making these, and this set is from Spool Imports out in Australia. Another brand that makes them, Super Tech Racing, they're in the UK. But doing this mod definitely helps. So instead of having only two surfaces to drive your gear, you have 360-degree contact with the gear. And these gears are made out of a billet aluminum. Billet steel, I'm sorry. Pretty much when you put these gears in, you're just gonna pop them in. Boom. Sorry, having some technical difficulties. Bam, it goes backwards. And they sit right in there like that. They also make a billet backing plate, just in case your original one has worn out. But if you're doing a full rebuild, obviously you're not going to be using the old one, like I have a new one. And these gears are made specifically if you have an N1 pump or a regular pump, a June pump, Tomei pump, either or, they make a specific set of gears for that pump. This is the collar, which mates in to the spline drive. This piece replaces the drive on the crank snout. Keep in mind, this is an RB25 Neo, so there's been myths of the RB25 coming with the extended oil pump drive from factory. Here, you see that's false. So, some motors like the late R33 motors have them, but only way to really know for sure is if you pull the oil pump off and check. So to put this piece on, you're going to send the whole motor out to a machine shop unless you have the proper tools to do it yourself. And they're just going to mill this whole piece off completely, and then they're going to press this on, and this is going to push all the way back and sit out there like that. And that's all it pretty much does. Now your oiling system is almost indestructible. Another very important thing to do is tap the back of the head for your rear head drain. There is a freeze out plug that sits right in here. You pop that out, and then you just have to drill 2 holes, 1 and 2. Pop this in, you gotta tap the threads, and there you go. There you have it. Then of course you got your fittings and your line. Tapping the oil pan just to return more oil. This brings oil that pulls up in the back of the head right back down to the pan fast enough that you don't lose oil in the pan when it all pulls up in the back of the head. I'm going to be discussing more in depth the whole system, how it works in the next video. So click on that to learn more about how this whole oiling issue is solved on these RB engines. We'll talk about the spline drive, head restrictors. I'll go in depth on the head drain, anything else that you may need to know about that to make your oiling system 100% reliable, indestructible, hopefully, and see where it goes from there.